GDP. GDP measures the new products or services provided in a quarter or a year. Things like refrigerators, Diet Coke, and cars contribute to GDP. Every period, because we have to make new versions of them over and over again. So cars need to be replaced. We buy new Coke every week or every day. It depends on. So imagine if, having invented Diet Coke, you would make copies for free. That would lower GDP. So as Coca-Cola would drop essentially to zero revenue from here forward. Is lowering GDP actually bad? Is it bad? We still have Coke, but
why have Coke reduce GDP?
Well, imagine that we could basically, once you have the recipe, you don't invest to it anymore, right? So the only thing that you would do is that basically you could license out the formula to make Diet Coke. Everybody could make it. So that would actually lower GDP. But is that bad? Because we still have Coke. So the question is lowering GDP actually bad? Is it bad for our society, yes or no? Oh, yes, actually I put that in the last paragraph. So let's say that you could replicate the physical inputs of Diet Coke for free, but that Coca-Cola still owned the recipe and you had to pay them for use of it. This would still lower GDP, as Coca-Cola would no longer be earning anything from the physical production of Diet Coke, only from renting out the recipe. This is still a win, even though GDP goes down. So GDP may actually go down as a result, but is that necessarily bad? This is the Nordic mystery. Actually, I was thinking employment. Okay, yes, I put those two together. So I was actually thinking to show something about Uber, but that will come later, because when we talk about employment and lowering of GDP and employment. The Nordic mystery. For years, economists have struggled to explain the high quality of life in the Nordic countries, especially Denmark and Norway. Despite their low national GDPs, Nordic people retain high standards of living. For example, Denmark's GDP from 1991 to 2014 only grew 0.37%. Nordic countries may produce less, but they are more efficient at utilizing what they have. Nordic culture comes from large, close-knitted tribes based on high levels of trust with lowest transaction costs for sharing resources. Traditional Nordic culture might be called the Uber of anything, so sharing economy. So this video I think is very interesting, because the Nordic model I think is very easily applicable also to Japan. So looking at the future, my idea is that basically this gives us an insight of what's actually happening or going to happen in Japan.
They looked upon the Nordic models as something really very different from what they think would function. Traditionally, they see Nordic countries as being welfare states run by social democrats. They don't think that would work. But then things have been changing, because if you look now at the various rankings on competitiveness, the Nordic countries repeatedly scores high. So now we have seen a change in that perspective. They think there's something of interest here. And that's why the economists first came here to study that, and then later the BBC, because I think now they see new qualities of this.
Norwegians are the richest people in the world, despite, rather than because of, their oil windfall. It's thanks to a radical and forward-thinking decision made by the nation's politicians.
In the early years of oil, Norway's leaders understood that a sudden, massive windfall like that can be a curse as well as a blessing. That it can have the effect of so overinflating the value of the national currency as to make every other sector of the productive economy uncompetitive, to put everyone except the oil people out of business. So to avoid that, Norway's political parties entered a kind of self-denying pact with each other. They agreed that none of those oil revenues should be spent in Norway itself. Instead, they'd be put into a fund to be invested overseas. Further, 96% of the interest on that fund would be reinvested overseas. All the Norwegian government allows itself is 4%, not of the capital, but of the interest on that capital. And even that tiny proportion is enough to give them some of the best schools and hospitals and public services in the world.
So
It's
that's
called the
Security Show. Instead of eating it all, you just invest everything overseas. So that's also learning from the Dutch disease, where basically the gas revenues in the Netherlands led to a higher exchange rate of the guilder, making us uncompetitive. In Norway, they learned from it. They have oil. They say, okay, well, but we cannot use the revenues for that, so they put all the money overseas, basically not having an extra demand for the Norwegian krone, therefore keeping the exchange rate low and keeping the industry actually at a high level, only consuming 0.4% of the interest rate. So that must be 0.0004%, but that's still enough to actually pay for healthcare and what have you. Very careful approach and very well embedded into the global economy. So they can actually benefit from how the world is developing by spreading their risk, their portfolio, putting their money in the global economy as a very careful investor, creating a future where also they can benefit from how the rest of the world is developing. I think it's super smart.
So click CC.
Sorry.
Character.
Norwegian Sovereign Wealth Fund, or more colloquially, the State Pension Fund. It's currently worth £400 billion, and it owns nearly 2% of the entire world's stocks and shares. It's owned by the people, managed by the state, and invested for the future. It's the envy of pro-independence campaigners in Scotland.
They just only spend 2%?
They own 2% of the global wealth.
There used to be a steel plant here. Now it's the BI Business School, a prestigious private university near central Oslo. And this is a recruitment fair for graduating students.
33 I thought.
The school is producing the next generation of Norway's business leaders.
Central Bank. They are the people with the fund. They clear? NBIM, that is the petroleum fund.
Right. This fund owns a proportion of most companies in the world.
Almost every company on the stock exchange stock list.
So this is the big sovereign wealth fund that Norway is so famous for. And they're recruiting young people to come and manage it.
To work for them, yeah. And it's managed by the central bank, but then it's split out as a separate institution called the Norwegian Bank Investment Management, NBIM. And that's the largest sovereignty fund in the world right now.
And just to be clear, none of that money is invested in Norway itself.
They can't do that. Like by the constitution says none of that money should be invested in Norway. The interesting thing about the BBC documentary, which is a long documentary where they visit all the 3 Nordic countries, was that in a way they placed BI, Norwegian School of Business, in the center of this. They used that as illustration for the knowledge economy. And I told the story about Nydalen, how this used to be the traditional old-fashioned manufacturing. It all disappeared, like in the UK, but something others came back. So now this is, and to them this was a center for the knowledge economy, entrepreneurship. They were here during career day when students were interviewing with all these companies, and they saw international students interviewing. They had international students interviewing with the Norwegian pension fund abroad. And to them this was a puzzle. I mean, this is where you want to live.
So, you see, so they were very careful not to fall into the Dutch disease, and they actually went up this supply chain. So they went up to add higher value added services, transform the economy, invest a lot of money into education, so that they can become the global leaders who actually manage the wealth that they are investing right now in other parts of the world. I think it's brilliant what they are doing there.
if you want to be part of this modern economy. And this in a way portrays modernity, entrepreneurship, innovation, and those are the kind of qualities we need, because every nation and region compete in order to attract good people, good companies. And I think this is very important too, because you need to change the image of Norway as being a place for fish and fjords. I mean, nobody comes here for fish and fjords except for tourism. You need to come here for business, and this is a way to put Norway and the Nordic region back as a good place for business, international business. The Economist is a very important channel because it tells so that the world that has almost no understanding of the Nordic countries, that there's something of interest here. And that was why the BBC some months later came here to dig a little deeper on this, because they said, why could it be? And they took the offshore oil industry as a case. Said, why is Scotland and Norway so different? We had the same North Sea to develop. Norway still is a very powerful offshore technology nation. Scotland is not. So you must have been doing things differently. And this was the big puzzle for them. And that's why they came to the Nordic region. They said, maybe when we talk in Scotland, maybe we shouldn't look so much to London. We should look to the Nordic. And that's why this Viking idea is coming back in new wrapping. They tried to do something similar because in the old industrial environment, industrial economy, it wasn't so important because you had large bureaucracies that ran factories. Now in the modern knowledge world, you need flat structures, highly educated people, highly innovative people, and that works in these type of contexts. There are a few other countries like the Nordic that has some of the same. If you look at the rankings, the Netherlands will score close with us, sometimes Switzerland will score close with us, but we outperform the large economies, which is interesting.
So open economy, flat, highly educated, very smart, by investing their resources overseas, en masse. Even making the legal decision to do that. It's legally it was, you could not invest the money in your own country. Brilliant, very smart.
You mean government, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that's. I think that's a very smart way of actually going through transformation, thinking 3 steps ahead. Refusing the ideas of taking that money and investing it in all kinds of stupid projects at home, which I see happens in a lot of countries, which happens in the EU, which happens in the Netherlands, where we have like superhighways in regions where nobody actually ever wants to drive. That kind of investment I also see in Japan, reinvigorating the local economy, basically wasting everybody's taxpayers' money. Now, Japan is sitting on a lot of wealth. If they would play their cards right, they better actually have a look at what's happening in Norway and what Norway has been doing. I think it also requires an attitude change or a more open mindset. It's not only just investing your money, but also having presence, being able to manage that effectively, so being able to develop relationships with the rest of the world. But this is, I think this is absolutely very smart. This is what every wealthy nation at the moment should do, especially in a demographic situation that we have right now in Japan. Not holding on to your money, but actually start spending it overseas, or investing it, not spending it, investing it overseas, to actually benefit from the future development of developing regions, reducing the risks, spreading the risks, not only within Japan, but the world is yours. The financial world is open. Why don't you start investing into it? So how does this apply to Japan? Well, I think that this is a very good and viable option, viable path for Japan to actually safeguard the future of the nation. Moving on to employment. So GDP might go down, but there are still that is not necessarily a bad thing. That's the conclusion of the last one. So employment. A study by PricewaterhouseCoopers shows that 30% of the UK jobs could be at risk of being replaced due to robots and artificial intelligence. In the US, up to 38% of the jobs could be at risk of automation. That is huge. McKinsey predicts that by 2030, as many as 800 million jobs could be lost worldwide to automation. Advances in AI and robotics will have a drastic effect on everyday working lives. In the US alone, between 39 and 73 million jobs stand to be automated, making up around a third of the total workforce. So, somewhere in the area of between 30 and 40%. Could be automated, could be actually, could be lost in the future. Income inequality is likely to grow, possibly leading to political instability, and individuals who need to retrain for new careers wouldn't be the young but the middle-aged professionals. The changes won't hit One moment.
Good timing, so sleepy.
I noticed.
A different person.
Please go ahead.
Okay.
Nani?
間違い。
ああ、間違い。
そう。ルーム番号間違い。
So, growth of unemployment, growth of income inequality, and middle-aged people need to be retrained. Changes won't hit everyone equally. Only 5% of the current occupations tend to be completely automated if today's cutting-edge technology is widely adopted. While in 60% of the jobs, 1/3 of the activities will be automated. So it's not like every job will be completely automated, but a significant part of your job might be automated.
What happened?
And what happened? Unemployment. Technology destroys jobs, but not work. Right, but not work. PC is estimated to have led to creation of 18.5 million new jobs, even when accounting for the jobs lost. So, actually, I don't remember. I don't know the source of that statement, but the personal computer actually did create jobs. It didn't lose jobs. It's estimated. Economic history suggests that new technology can benefit everyone in society, enabling growth in productivity, real wages, shorter working weeks, and greater job satisfaction. And any technological unemployment will prove to be short-lived. However, there is no guarantees that it will always occur.
18.5 million jobs.
So, jobs were lost because of the computer, but also jobs were created because of the personal computer.
What is
this? Making the computers, selling the computers, training people to use computers. Basically, computers were introduced to maybe enlarge the scale of business.
Japanese?
No, this is globally.
Many books for training the PC, how to use a PC.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of jobs were created. A lot of employment was created because of the computer. Some people lost their jobs because of the computer, but mostly not. Because the computer was just introduced. For example, in agriculture, we introduced computers in order to be able to monitor better. So basically the computer helped us to become more productive. Instead of using a typewriter, you could use a word processor, use email, etc., to distribute things quicker. So the computer became an added tool to make us more effective, and didn't necessarily replace a lot of people. Economic history suggests that new technology can benefit everyone in society. enabling growth in productivity, real wages, shorter working weeks, and greater job satisfaction. So that's, for example, mechanization, specialization, and being more productive. And that actually led to us working shorter work weeks. Can take more holidays. We were just looking at Norway. Well, Norway has a lot of holidays because we can afford it. We don't need to work that many hours and still be competitive. But it's not a guarantee that it will always occur, of course. So looking at employment. Developed economies like Japan are likely to be hit hardest by the coming changes, as higher average wages incentivize automation. If a wage is high, then of course, if you want to cut costs, then you cut out employment. You cut out your Mata? どこに住んでる？
こんなにいいですよ。
おめさん、you have something?
ハグムで。うんのさん待ってたよ。
Right.
社長のとこに住んでます。
住んでるとかってここ事務所。
ああ、事務所何か。
そうそう。
ちんでんちんでん。
あ、顔何です。よろしくお願いします。
ああ、来た。
はじめまして。
あ、こんにちは。はい、エラと申します。
よろしく。あ、長と申します。よろしくお願いします。
いやー、お久しぶり。
あ、元気。
あ、元気。What are you doing in Japan? 高橋さん。
旅行に来ました。
旅行に来ました。
旅行？
はい。
遊び？
はい、遊び。
リッチだね。
結婚してね、驚いた。
もう別れた。
嘘？本当？
本当。
すごいね。早い。どうぞ。座ってください。
コップそこにあるから。
What a surprise!
その中コップ。
よく喧嘩したので。
ああ、なるほど。
ああ、コップ入ってる。お茶。
あ、大丈夫です。
大丈夫。そう。英語わかる？
ちょっと大変。We're doing English session today. Okay. We're discussing the impacts of new technology on the Japanese society. So we're looking at employment and how employment will be influenced by new technology. Okay, so developed economies like Japan are likely to be hit hardest by coming changes, as higher average wages incentivize automation. Efficiencies are easier to be realized. Employment in industries like healthcare will increase. That's the flip side of the medal. Aging population, while jobs that involve physical labor, machinists, cooks, or data processing, are most likely at risk of automation. So it's not across the board that we will see a reduction.
Are you talking about Japan?
Japan, yes. We live in an aging society, and there will be a need for more care workers. That robots will not be able to replace it. That is people-to-people generation, people-to-people work that you cannot automate. We still need people for that. But on the other hand, like data processing, for example, that can all be automated. You were talking about this. I think half a year ago when you met somebody who showed you how to use OCR technology, for example, to basically erase and completely automate a lot of this data processing. So that kind of employment will definitely be at risk. So what will be the balance here? First of all, we will see a shift in employment going from office workers towards care workers. So that is of course a process that will take place, but the question is, okay, will there be enough employment remaining in Japan?
Care workers will going to be required more people, but office worker cannot replace it.
Exactly.
So what's going to do?
Well, I think. So you think that the balance as a whole, there will be more care workers required than office workers?
Mismatching.
I think actually we will lose a lot of office workers, to be honest with you.
But we don't need it.
We don't need it. So we don't need that many office workers to replace. I think there will be a surplus of people leaving the offices, more than we need in terms of care workers.
But care workers cannot replace those people. Cannot be replaced by those people.
By the office workers,
Yeah.
exactly. So that will lead to
So
unemployment.
what are we going to do?
Well, one of the things that in order to remain stability in society is to have this minimum wage, minimum income, base income, to support the livelihoods of those people in order to keep cohesion in society.
No, my question is how we're going to fill in those shortage of people for case workers.
For care workers?
Yeah, care workers. Million people in shortage.
Well, I think actually, I wonder, well, seriously, but this is just my feeling. We do not need that many additional workers.
Why?
Because a lot of people will be unemployed, so they can be looking after their parents and their care workers. It's more of a voluntary system that will...
I know, but I old parent know it's impossible.
Okay, of course you need professionals for people who...
Yeah,
but
yeah.
there's a lot of people at the moment who are quite well capable of living independently with a little work, with a little help from neighbors or a little help from people in that area to support them to be to live independently for a long time. So now we are relying on professionals, right? But we already see this happening in the Netherlands, where basically the divide between working and voluntary work is changing. So there are a lot of people who are contributing to their society, to what's happening in their direct environment, where especially the people who are on at the moment are falling into the professional healthcare system. They're capable of actually staying outside of that healthcare system by a little support that they can get from volunteers within their own areas.
But
So I'm talking about helping with shopping. I'm talking about coming to that person's home just to have a chat and a cup of tea, every week. Just to visit somebody in your neighborhood. There are programs in Amsterdam where young people, they can sign up and they volunteer and they kind of like create a relationship with an elderly person who's living by himself.
This is okay. I'm a member of some kind of new project. They're going to get some prize. So I am a member of the judge for those new projects.
Right.
One of those, just what you said, okay, we're going to take care of the senior member. But problem is recent longevity, even though they are going to reach into over 90 years old, but still they are alive another several years.
Right.
For those people, who's going to they can't walk, okay? Some cases, many cases, they can eat by themselves. Who's going to take care of them?
Well, in that case, I
This
mean,
is-
if
those-
they really cannot,
Those era will come in soon, within 10 years. Million people are like that. Who's going to take care of those people? But family cannot sustain kind of conditions. This is a problem. Government cannot consider, do not consider for that situation will coming soon. Who's going to do that? Okay, I take care of my wife, my mother. She's in care house. She cannot move. She cannot eat by herself.
right?
So they are going to take care of them. It's
But you cannot do that. You cannot do that,
family
right?
cannot do this.
Right, right.
So who's going to take care of those people?
So this is like the situation for those people. I think Japan is a little bit lagging behind the other, like for example, European nations. If I look at the situation where people are being cared for, elderly people, the houses in the Netherlands that I know from the Netherlands are much more modern and better funded, and people live inside their own unit, not they're not like put into hospital beds and cannot move all day. It's a different situation. It's a different situation.
No, globally, Europe and America and China is the same, and very senior people over 90 years old is increasing a lot next 10 years. But those people are in house. Okay, you can take care of those people. So what happened? This is a question.
Euthanasia.
No. This is a problem. Actually, my mother is like that. Okay, they can eat. They can stand up or they can move, but she will going to still alive next several years.
Question: does your mother want to keep on living?
But me.
Does she wants to keep on living?
Who knows? She
cannot talk.
She cannot speak.
So in the Netherlands, in that case, you can choose to end her life.
In Japan, no. Japan, because of religion, we will not do that.
Which is kind of surprising, because actually when it comes to religion, I think that the Netherlands is more strict. Basically,
okay.
Christianity.
I have very heavy experience for the Confucianism. Confucianism is respect for parents.
Right.
This is not the right kind of Christianity spirit.
But respect, okay, basically, what happens is that if while your parents are still in good condition, you discuss with them, okay, what do you want to do? What happens if, for example,
beforehand, technology was not advanced, like sustain their longevity, but now is they can handle those things.
Right, but like for example, I have a contract with my mother. It's at the notary. If my mother would ever need, would ever get into a situation where she needs to be in a care home, she cannot eat by herself, she cannot breathe by herself, she cannot look after herself anymore, she would 100% agree to my sister and I ending her life. She would want that.
We don't have kind of culture.
No.
Okay.
No.
This is.
Is there any perspective of that ever coming into effect?
As long as possible, we should keep the kind of situation.
But I wonder. I really wonder what is the benefit of living beyond 90 if you really if there is nothing.
She has
if the quality of life is not.
I tell you, she has conscious.
Okay.
Conscious, but cannot speak.
Right.
And cannot move. Okay.
Right.
But so this is in Japan. We try to give her life as long as possible. No way. Okay. So this is a kind of religious spirit. This is Japanese history. We are taught recently still disappearing Japanese identity, but still exists. So this is different from Europe, Western.
From Netherlands, yeah. This is not the same in anywhere in.
Still, Confucius said, even if your parent dead, you need to spend the money, or you need to luxurious lifestyle after parent dead next for 3 years. Okay, you are very, don't live like normal way. Okay, so this is a Japanese spirit. 3 years. Why they say that? Okay, your parents make you grow you up. Past 3 years, they're going to take care of you. The same thing, parent dead. You need to go into your house. You should have more next 3 years.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, that's how you interpret respect, right?
So
I would.
Westerners don't have kind of mindset, right? But
No, we do. We do.
Eastern people, they should.
No. Actually, we do. The only thing that we answer that question, how to pay respect to your parents, we answer it with our answer is different from that in other countries in the world. For us, respecting your parents is respecting their wish, and if their wish is not to live beyond the point where they can no longer express their own will and are no longer capable of looking after themselves, then they'd rather not live any longer. If that is their wish, then we respect them by fulfilling that wish.
Well, this is very much influenced by religion and culture.
In Dutch culture, yes. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
But don't make a mistake, because this is absolutely not
I
allowed
understand.
in
I
any other
understand.
country.
Just put it here. I just throw it away.
I will.
I understand. What you mean. I know that Western culture, but not for Japanese. But Japanese still young people change their mind, but old people, educated people, is not like that.
Yeah. Having witnessed how actually at the moment it's almost 1/3 of the people do not die of natural
Japanese
causes.
system is like that. When your parent going to take operation, at that time operation failed. At that case is they still alive, but no conscious.
Right.
At this case, how are you going to handle it? And Japanese hospital recommend you to stop life.
Right.
Okay, but if she has conscious, okay, they do not recommend to.
So you can stop life if there's no more conscious?
Yeah, just a sign. I'm going to make signature for them, for doctor. In the operation failed, no conscious, but still alive. You can take a choice.
I didn't know that. So that's possible.
Yeah, we signature for big operation. No conscious means Japanese is dead.
Dead. Right.
But still, they are conscious. Say something, reaction for what I said, but we should not do that. Even if she can speak.
Right.
Okay. So this is so kind of era is coming very soon.
Right. But it becomes that case. It kind of makes sense. But what for example?
More clearly, okay, is she can speak, okay, or she can move by herself. But over 90 years old, tremendous people will going to be alive after 10 years.
Right. But
in this case, we cannot kill them. So who's going to take care of them? Family? No, it's impossible. So who's going to take care of them? Do we have the place for the handling for those people? No.
Well, we need to organize this one way or the other. I can see there's a whole platoon, a whole army of people who will fall out of the labor system. People who work as taxi drivers, who work as office workers, who work as shop staff everywhere. There is so many people out there whose jobs are on the line, and there's a clear way to fill this by giving basic support. Now, what you're describing, people who are living in the last stages of their life, will be very difficult. So that will be work for professionals. But I see that there's so much potential to actually bring a lot of the care of the people who do not really need to have 100%
I
care.
observing that kind of how to take care of that. This is not normal. Many people they are not big normal people, and they moving around. So each floor is heavy locked. and they're shouting,
Right.
and they it's kind of crazy people.
Right.
So different people take care of those people.
Right.
Some cases try to handling for all the people like a material. At that time, I was going to tell them, no, you shouldn't do that. But it's very difficult to love them, okay? And it's very cost very much. My case is every month I need to 300,000 yen, 3,000 US dollars. It's you normal people cannot pay for them, right? Very expensive.
Right.
But this is my case is cheapest. So in future, how Japanese people are going to take care of very senior people? This is a big issue. Government still they are very far behind to care of them. Who's going to handle it? My wife, no kidding. And half century ago, okay. And my grandmother the same. But that case at that time we don't have any care house.
Right.
And my mother took care of grandmother.
Right.
At that time, she was going to go to Echo to handle for those senior old people for 5 years, 10 years.
Right.
But now is recent, wife. They not willingly. Okay, they never take care of them.
But so what we see is that basically, but with the technological developments, more and more time will be freed up for a lot of people because they will be replaced. They will not be put in the labor force anymore.
But this is different, okay? Even if 1 hour going to take care of those senior members, heavy frustrating. Heavy frustrating. They cannot be patient at night. Every other hour, need to wake up. No, it's impossible.
Right. So that
baby,
that
okay. So the mother will take care of. Mother will take care of them.
But of course, like in response to that, there will be younger generation who says, okay, well, I want to have a job. I need stability. I need to have a job. I need to have an income. So this kind of sector, I mean, it needs to be paid for.
No, I tell you, this recently young people never work like kind of heavy burden work. They don't like it. They can find that more easy job to get a certain level of payment.
So that means that probably the wages in that sector will need to go up.
They don't work dirty work. They never do that. They don't do that.
It's like what you always say about Africa.
Yeah, that's right. This is the current problem. This kind of problem is very serious, but no solution. China is a more big problem. They're going to have
money.
More than 10 million, 20 million, 30 million people are going to be 10 years later. Who's going to take care of all those huge people? Remember, no. What happened? Social unrest, right? Like you. But you get out of there, all the people from the house. But all the people, they can walk, They can walk around town. Who's going to take care of those people? Government, they cannot. This is a problem. So this is a serious problem instead of younger people unemployment. And also, 70 years old, and they retired people after 10 years, they don't have nothing to do. Government will pay for you every month. Okay, we're going to pay $1,000 for you. They don't need to do anything at all, but he has time. She has time.
Right.
And just like what she's going to do, complain you. Right?
No, but actually, so that doesn't necessarily need to be so. Like if she has time, she can actually become active.
No, this is a serious problem. I just confronting with this kind of situation. And I'm skating outside on Sunday morning.
Right.
And old people is... just checking, all people checking my skating.
That's
street.
like a movie.
And they call police,
Right.
Oh, so dangerous, risky. This guy is killing people. And policeman is rushed to me to see me. What his open mouth? What is he going to say?
Right.
He said, "I'm sorry."
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. All people call me.
Right.
I must to come here.
Right.
So why don't you skate here? Because otherwise you're skating here, still here. Here you're going to call me again.
Right.
Okay.
I know. We have a house that somebody was smoking a cigarette outside of the house. People across the street are calling the police because somebody is smoking outside.
Yeah, that's right.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's right. My wife say, okay, next convenient person is they have a dog. Okay, dog hair is coming to my
Front door.
yeah. She complained and she going to say something, but I can't say anything at all.
No.
This is typical, right? So what going to do? But she's still young. But in that case of 70 years old, all day she's going to complain. What's happening? This is social unrest, right? This is no solution, no problem. This is a kind of but some cases we can solve the problem for education.
Right, because I see something that opposite is happening in the Netherlands. Actually, I think that there is more people are getting more and more because we have automation and less work and unemployment. But I see more and more people getting involved in their local communities and more.
So how do you solve this kind of problem in Netherlands? Like 70 years old and getting older ages, and they are complaining a lot,
So actually, I think that Japan is different from.
Why Japan is different? This is my.
So.
How are we going to solve this issue?
I
Okay,
think
very
actually-
senior people, no solution. Okay, government need to take care of those people. Anyway.
Euthanasia, I would suggest.
But I'm talking about 70 years old people or 80 years old people. Who's going to take care of those? Like many people, they had the company top executive, and when he was working at 65 years old, until 65 years old, he ordered his subordinate whatever he wanted. But after that, he retired, but still ordered.
His wife.
Yeah, this is a Sand Beach,
Yeah.
but still ordered. Policeman, he ordered. You should do this.
So I think that what's happening in Japanese.
Okay, do you understand what I mean?
Yeah.
If the people, policeman going against him, what's happened? Social problem.
Right.
Policeman is wrong.
Yeah, but so the problem is basically in Japanese society, you graduate from university, you go to work in a company, and that company will take up most of your time. You don't have much free time. You get married, you grow apart because you always have to work overtime. You are part of your company first, and then of your family second. So people, basically marriages, they grow apart. Then you are part of your society. Then at the age of 60, you're kicked out of your society, basically.
Yeah, completely.
So then basically you don't belong to that society anymore.
No.
Whereas in the Netherlands, we work 40 hours, most.
Oh,
At
yeah,
most.
America
36
too.
hours, 40 hours, most. But we always take holidays. We are part of our society. The clubs are not based on our company, but are based because in our local community. So we meet people from other companies, and we keep a very close connection with our society. Not only with the people that we work for that we are kicked out of. So the relationships that you have on your bridge club or your tennis club or your soccer club, they are not tied to your work conditions. So once you retire, you can still hang out with the people that you know outside. So you don't end up in total isolation as I see most Japanese elderly people do.
Yeah, I have a question for you. In Japanese case, every company at the age of retirement age, they cut off their job environment,
Right.
and although everybody free and they want to work, but they do not have a kind of system. Okay. Not like kind of job owner, except owner, but usually employees, they do not have a chance, opportunity to work. But very strange. What happened in Netherlands?
Nobody wants to work after retirement.
But in Japan, many people want to work. Okay.
So, but that's really different.
No
That's really
place,
different.
no place to work. If you're going to work and here, and like illegal parking, they
Right.
just get only less than $2,000 US a month.
Right.
This is actual. Even he's going to get $10,000 US every year, but he retired, then he just only had to get less than $2,000 US a month. But it's ridiculous.
Right.
And Japanese, university professor, he's retired 62 years old, 60 years old, then emeritus professor, just nothing. But America is lifetime professor.
Right.
But ridiculous in Japan is even if he is very.
Well, I think that really has to do with the system, because you need to retire those people because there is some basically the foundation is lifetime employment, so that you need to get rid of the top, otherwise this layer cannot get up, because we are not looking at how well people perform, but basically how old they are and how long they have been around. So that's why we need to get rid of the top, but it's a completely mottainai.
It doesn't matter. Age is nothing else, nothing different.
Exactly, but then we're looking at performance, how well people contribute
it's
to the
easy. He's
result.
going to take out from his position. Still, we need to give them business opportunity, job opportunity.
No, but we need to give younger people the chance, because actually they
give them a chance.
it's their time.
Position, but senior people they're going to take out his position, but still can work. Instead of just only the 2,000 a month.
Well, I completely agree. I think it's actually it's.
But this is strange. My question is how you're going to handle in Netherlands?
Most people. Let's generalize this, because of course there are people who have business experience and become.
They don't want to work.
No. They enjoy. They go travel and they spend the money that they earned. The husband and wife they take off, and they like everybody goes and travel for months and months ahead of time.
European people the same.
Yeah,
Japan is different.
it's different. It's different. But most elderly people that I know who retire, they go and travel or do whatever they want and enjoy their free time, because they still have this connection within the marriage. They still have this.
Japan has problem. After retire, they don't do anything.
Right.
Okay, they stay at home. Wife is also stay at home, and they cannot do well.
So they can only watch television and go to the supermarket and annoy each other.
Frustrating, right?
Right.
So this is a social unrest.
So I think it's the product of the fact that every company is forcing its workers to completely choose for the company and not and lose connection with
So
society.
in Japanese future, we have lots of unemployment problem issues, big issues we are confronting with. So this is no solution. What are you going to do?
I think we need to retrain people to become part of the social again.
Exactly. So retraining, but solution is I try to give them the job opportunity. It's a more easy way to give them to work. Of course, many people they don't work. Okay, don't work. If
They
you
can
don't
become
want to
tester.
if you don't work, if you don't want to work, those people, okay, we're going to give them the other career path. But people they want to work, okay, we'll give them opportunity to work.
I hear that there are quite a lot of senior citizens dispatch organizations in coming to being founded in.
One good example is university professor. I have several university professors as of my age. They already retired. They can't find at any position. It's stupid, right? He does nothing. He's better than incumbent professors. He's very super guy, but he don't do nothing at all.
Yeah.
You know?
These guys are, well, if they get a job, then usually they're picked up for very little money, and they need to work twice as hard as they used to do. It's really tough.
Exactly. What
really
they are doing, writing book.
Right.
But professors writing book, nobody buy. Right?
Right.
Like me. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah,
This
okay.
is employment.
All right. So another thing is increased inequality. High-paying, creative, and cognitive jobs will be at a premium, while demand for middle and low-skill occupations will decline. So it's really basically the people who can design the systems, the people who have the creativity and the way to move people to and design the systems. Those are the ones who will be the people who earn higher wages. But whatever, like all the middle class people, they can be easily replaced. So it also means that there will be
What do you mean easily replaced?
easily replaced because they are basic skill sets.
But Japan,
Usually-
we don't have kind of custom to move.
You don't have that kind of. I agree. But if we basically either Japan will be
Okay, I tell you, explain it. A good example is Song. He's moving, hopping on
Right.
company. He never can work with Japanese company. Foreign company only accept what he's hoping.
right.
Because you are so quickly changing the job, we cannot hire them,
Right.
even if he has skill. Right?
Right.
But
Right.
this is a strange custom.
Yeah. So basically, in my country, job hopping is the quickest way to make a career.
Japanese no, but this is very conservative. And,
Right.
If you're going to work in longer, they respect him. Otherwise, they are very skeptical to hire.
So I think it's also an attitude where in Japan I think it requires a more generalistic approach, not really focused on your specific skill, but how well you're entrenched within your company. And it like you're not always an accountant, you're not always a salesperson. You could be put in all kinds of different positions within the company. So you're a specialist in your organization, but not a specialist in your field.
Okay. Why Japanese kind of they just do not evaluate kind of short time hoping people? Reason is
Loyalty.
it's a human network, and they think hoping people is they are not be trusted.
Right.
Different aspect they evaluate for the performance.
So whereas in Western society, basically we trust people's skills, and we know that the people will not be with us for always, but we buying their skills. We're buying what they can do for us.
Exactly.
So if an accountant leaves, we put another accountant in the same place. It doesn't really matter how well, basically, because if that next person leaves, then we put a new accountant in there.
Okay, Japan is they have not so much emphasis on skill. Many people they don't have skill, right? Many people they don't
Well,
have
that-
skill,
well,
even if
yeah.
they're working for 20 years, 30 years.
But skill is very specific to the organization that they work in.
No, they don't. The Japanese company do not focus on skill. Many people generalists. Okay, when you're working for 20, 30 years. Of course, in some skilled industry they have skilled area they have, but majority of people are white collar people, non-skilled people, as a management or some sort of people.
Office lady.
Office lady, not office lady, is man. He got position general manager. Skill is not skill.
But they have a good network within their own organization.
Exactly. This is nothing. So this is a problem, right? And this is Japan specific.
Yeah.
That's the reason, this they just only evaluate how many years working some one location, they respect him. But Japanese people never ask you what kind of skill do you have. In my consulting job, I just ask for the questionnaires for Tokyo utility company. I just surveyed what kind of skill do you have, but they don't have. But they tell the skill they have that they written on the paper, but this is actually no, they don't have it. So this is Japanese company specific problem. They so that's the reason the evaluation, performance criteria evaluation is they cannot evaluate people. This is basic problem. And Takahashi is working that kind of sort of area. He understands. How do you think, Takahashi? Okay, and just we are talking about the company performance measurement. You are working for 20 years, and many cases Japanese people is what kind of skill do you have? But many people they say, okay, I have manager skill or general manager skill, but what kind of, this is not the skill. What kind of specific skill do you have? But many people, they skill track, or they do not evaluate, or they do not have any none of skill. Many people, they don't have a kind of skill. So this is the kind of Japanese problem. This is very Japanese company specific, not American, not European company like that.
Yeah,
right?
That is, not good for me. Just the evaluation and the criteria in the company is not good for me because it's not meant to evaluate the skill and capability in some areas, like, for example, for me working outside. Rather than looking at this aspect of the staff, they might prefer paying more attention on this person, whether they can say good things for their management and whether they never said something talking back to the management. So
politics.
Is he looking like the good person for the management?
Does he have good hair? That's also a major criteria for politics. I think it's you can easily see why somebody became a politician. It's like the person has good hair, or she looks kind of attractive. That seems to be more important than the message that or the power that people bring. Oh, she looks good.
Also, you can ask him. He's working for the company. What skill does he have? What kind of skill do you have?
He can speak Chinese.
What kind of skill does he have?
What kind of skill?
Can you make a homepage, or can you make coding, or can you design a system, whatever?
How to evaluate?
Huh?
How to evaluate stuff?
How to evaluate
Yes,
stuff?
I think there is two types of workers. One is operational staff,
Right.
and the other is thinking staff. For example, be a officer.
Right.
Officer should be have thinking about invisible skills. For example, growth strategy, vision, policy. That's very important.
Right.
That is, for example, Sun Tzu said, he said that prepare is very important. Officers should have a very enough prepare to success.
Right.
But operational people should have a accurate,
Right.
accurate skills
Execution.
in the execution.
Right. Right. So there's two kinds of people. You have thinkers and you have makers.
Especially makers needs accurate execution.
Right.
To make a repeat in every times.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're a project manager, you need to be able, you need to make sure that your products finish on time, within at scope, within budget. If you can do that, that is very important. But you also need to have people who can actually delegate responsibility, make sure that things do not go off track, help to decide which direction the company should move in order to achieve its growth targets.
When I was working with the American company, performance measurement, we have long list for
Right.
every other 3 months. And checking for his
3 months. Okay.
Every 3 months.
That's very
Every
often.
quarter.
Yeah, every other 3 months. Because job is not, some cases not so long.
Right. So it's very much project based. Right.
So project based, we're going to buy for those people.
Right. But they are very much measured against performance, right? So about hard skills.
Very detailed.
Right. Hard
From
skills.
leadership skill, from just what you said, and also detailed operational skill. Right. So the things we measured for them, and actually they can do it. Actually, evaluated exactly what he's evaluated, like the same thing. He can do it, but Japanese people they cannot do it. And I consulting for more than 30 years, and also human resource consulting I did before. And problem is retirement age people, 60 years old, 62 years old people, and every division coming from division the retired people, and they huge company every year they 100 people, general managers coming out from the retirement age, but I cannot evaluate which one is good. That's the reason why all of them we ask them to retirement. But I believe at least we're going to ask them 20, 30 people still keep in the company, but they cannot recognize. Because everybody B plus. You understand? So cannot make distinguish. But actually the majority people
But so also it's not about basically like this is not an individual society, right? So this is a collective society where basically you need to contribute to the end result. So it's not focused on how well does an individual do, how well do you do as a team, so how well do you contribute to the team. So you should not disturb the balance. You should always work hard. Those things are very easy to measure, but to create to actually evaluate individual performance in a work environment where you are trained to follow, not to lead, but to follow. You need to follow, until you are ready and you are experienced enough to actually be a leader. But leadership in itself is not a quality that will bring you up the ladder. It's that basically you need to shut up until you are ready to lead. So it's very difficult to create leaders in an environment like that.
So I was given sometimes A plus, and also the next year I was given C minus.
Oh, really?
The while I'm doing the same, is evaluated A plus and sometimes C minus.
Why?
So that's my defect.
Why?
So I have to adjust myself a little bit to my manager, the understanding how this person is.
Do you have any idea? So as an example, what was the reason for you to get a plus?
A plus was, I think, when the manager is, I have the similar the mindset as the manager,
right,
and mine are same,
right.
But if it's not, as always Unusa mentioned, I talked back, even if it's the manager, senior manager, general manager, I didn't care. So if it's not correct, then I just talk back.
Right.
Then I get the C.
Okay, the reason is always I tell him, you should doing well with your boss.
Yeah,
okay, and even what kind of performance you did. Of course, this performance is important. Okay, you can doing business well is important, but most important is how well you're going to make relationship with the boss.
Well, but if your boss is running the ship running the ship right into the port, like it's going to collide, you can say, well, okay, I need to do right with my boss. But if we all go down, if he's running the ship on a cliff,
it's easy to handle those boss. Looks like I'm supporting for you, but even if not, but he's believe him for next several years.
So, but this doesn't work.
Remember when you were working with large company? Did you follow him?
No.
This is a problem, okay. But
This is a problem.
okay, I tell you, how I successful working more than 30 years. This is simple. I follow on the boss, never against him. Any word is some cases that he's a inferior boss I had for several years. It's nothing good, okay. But I just follow him. Whatever he says, I thought, oh, it's my son, bitch, crazy guy. He's talking about, but I follow him. Yes, it is. I do that. But in many cases, this is impossible. I just take kind of my bosses for 5 or 6 years.
So, but that's okay. Now, interesting question. So, you think your boss asks you to do something? You work in a similar situation as Takai-san is working. So, you're representing your company.
See, I told him just that I'm telling him you should do that. He doesn't do that.
No, okay, but
I'm getting wiser.
Yeah, but but actually it's not always possible, because like if you, like for example in the case of Takai-san, to become successful you need to build a relationship with foreign counterparts, with your customers, with your potential customers. You need to build that means that also you need to have some kind of integrity. You cannot just follow any idiot who tells you to go left if obviously what is needed for your relationship is to go right.
No, you should follow him.
Okay, yeah, well, that is where, because your boss is completely, he sits in Japan head office, right? So he is completely detached from what's happening on the ground. So this is the pitfall that I see for Japanese businesses. So here is an idiot, you need to follow him. Then here you have your business relationship on the ground. Now, if you are following him, you might go directly against your reputation. But this might hurt your reputation overseas.
Okay, Japanese culture. Japanese culture is how many times your boss order you the crazy issues, but you should follow him. This is Japanese filial piety. Okay, this is emperor system.
Right.
Right? It's crazy, even crazy.
But then don't be surprised if you're not successful overseas.
No, just follow him. But Chinese or Western are different. Chinese case is more clear. If your boss order you 3 times, crazy order, then after 3 times, you can leave company. Son of a bitch, just bye-bye. That's okay.
Right.
Western are the same.
Right.
But,
2 times.
But Japanese, 100 times, you should be patient. Right. Like a son and father.
So, but now this is the pitfall. This is the pitfall that I see. If you keep on, like, okay, this was doable at the time that Japanese businesses, Japanese manufacturing was superior in the world. When they had higher quality, they could sell in spite of this deficiency. But nowadays, Japan is no longer superior. If you are going to risk your relationships overseas, then you're going to lose connection with the rest of the world. If you're going to keep on doing that.
Oh, that's the reason good employee is working double. Okay, your boss order you, on daytime you follow him, but after 5 to midnight, you should try to develop another work, double. So kind of person will get higher position. Okay, this is what I did.
Does that mean you go behind his back after 5?
Yeah. That's what I did for 6 or 7 years.
You have to explain that to me.
Yeah.
How does that work?
This is okay. Until one good example is we hired American manager came from America, and we organized an English project for 1 year, and she cannot catch up with the contents of job because of language differences.
Right.
So our project take care of in English from 9 to 5. After 5 to midnight or 1 a.m. 2 a.m. in Japanese, I force them to work only Japanese. So project success, but daily job is just is garbage.
Right.
This is my problem. This is my fault. Okay. We need to much more utilize her skill. She had a skill, but I couldn't utilize her skill well, so I failed. But after 5 to 1 or 2 a.m. every day, I finally success. To double work.
Right.
This sort of things many cases happen.
So, and this is so basically in Europe we would say very screw it and say after 5 we go home. we go home to the family, play with the kids, talk with your wife, or go and see a movie or whatever, and keep the basics of your life. The basics is not the company, but it's the family. It's the friends that you have.
This is what we need to change the culture or business culture. So more westernized. This current Japanese system is
More efficient.
Is not efficient, right? And so it means performance measurement is more focused on skill track, like a leadership skill do they have. If he doesn't have, to fire him. But currently they don't hire him. Like my boss is not good well in leadership, but he can stay in the company. But no, don't do that. Just fire him. This kind of sort of things we need to consider, and the Japanese company need to change their culture. This is most important. It means we need to give them education, right? And the education is not only trust, but also.
But education, that's the thing. Actually, I see that Japan has a very good educational system up until university. Then something goes wrong in university. People do not learn anything additional within university.
Okay, like Teijin, the founder is Oya Taizo. Okay, he is a very famous person. He told people, if you want to go into chasing CEO, you don't focus on abacus and finance and how to do in job business. No. You should study philosophy. He said. You should study philosophy. This morning we studied philosophy, Nishida.
Right.
What this means is, if you're going to get knowledge, of course you need to get knowledge, but you should study wisdom. But the Japanese education system is wisdom education is truncated after World War II, and American occupation army, they try to eliminate to get wisdom. We had in the past World War II, like analyst of Confucius. We before World War II, our certain level of family forced children to memorize analyst, but not anymore. So they don't have wisdom, and sort of things is we have Japanese currently problem. So you know the technology, you know the knowledge, but you don't know how to live.
Think for yourself. I think that's a very important element that is missing.
Why European people has how to live? Because of your background is Christianity. Even if you don't believe religion, but you have Christianity background in history. If you don't go to church, but you have a background of what is right, what is good, what is evil, your judgment standard strictly you have. Japan, these people, they don't have it, and they don't consider them. I did that. I didn't consider.
But doesn't Japan have a lot of ethical standards, unwritten ethical standards?
No, gone. Nothing. No.
I still feel that there are a lot of unwritten rules within Japanese society that you need to.
What is it?
Oh, very simple ones, like unwritten rules, like for example about like.
You're talking about social rule?
Yeah.
Discard it.
No.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Oh my God! If I try to put the garbage in the morning, like there are ladies looking over my shoulder to see whether I peel the labels of the bottles. Otherwise,
not kind of things. We need much more consider for benevolence, righteousness, and piety, and so the things we need to much more emphasize on it. Rights, okay, no rights anymore in Japan. We need to consider for what is the righteousness, no education.
But so the question is how to answer that. How to answer that question? What is righteousness, for example? That's a. So you mentioned that we were forced to study, to memorize Confucius. I think one of the key differences here in between Western education and Japanese education is what I was taught in school was to think independently, to take not events as a given, but always ask yourself, why did these events take place? Which elements in that that were there? Which historic events? Which economic events? What made this happen? So, not memorize what happened, but always ask yourself, why? Why did this happen? Or that was in case of history, for example, or in any question, it was not so much focused on understanding or memorizing, for example, the mathematical formula, but understanding how we actually derived that mathematical formula. So there is a very easy way to for example, to calculate.
The same, but Westerners misunderstand why Japanese force them to memorize analytic. It's very important issues behind scene. And memorize analytic, 3 years old, 3 years old children, and he can recognize 10 years later what this means.
Right. I mean, that I reckon. I mean,
this is very important. And when he is going to getting older, 13 years old, now he can understand what this means.
Right.
Tremendous sentences he forced them to memorize. Okay, so it means tremendous volume of the ancient wisdom getting his head.
But it's uncoded at the time. This
is lots of issues. Memorize lots of things in his head. Why this I forced me to memorize kind of sentences in 10 years ago. Now he understands. Not small sentences.
Right.
Hundred sentences forced him to memorize.
It does work. I recognize
it. Does work, yeah.
Like why, for example, are so many are Dutch people so good at speaking English? Why is that? Because on television we don't have this voiceover in Dutch language. So we are exposed to English language, and we need to kind of read to understand what it means. So we don't learn English yet. We don't really understand the meaning, but we heard it. So you got the sound, you got used to different words, but you don't know what it means. But once you start studying English, and you recognize a lot of things because you heard it on television, or you heard it in this song that you heard on the radio, because there's such a small country, every song is in English. We just import everything. So it's very easy to actually pick up English because we've already been exposed to it so much. Even though we don't understand the meaning, later on in life when you start studying it, you become aware of its meaning, and it's much easier to learn from it. Ah, that's what it means. Then,
by the way, you don't have a custom to memorize?
No.
And Japanese, Chinese, very strong characteristics is force them to memorize when they are going to the 3 years old. 3 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Well, maybe this is more personal to me. I'm not very good at memorizing.
Very important, and force them to memorize. And still in my family, Chinese family, they force them to
used to be like that. My parents' education, also, like my mother can still. She can still tell you exactly the major cities in Indonesia, like she knows them all by heart.
Why force them to that? This is trained, memorize ancient wisdom. So this kind of wisdom will going to be the rule how to live.
But we live in a different time right now. So instead of spending time memorizing things, we have access to all this information. Why would we need to memorize it? Basically, it's more important.
This is my age of the memorizing age. What happened with memorize is going to connect in the head. Years go by, and in the head, I have database. This kind of information will connect year by year, right?
Right.
So this is very important. This is information is connecting.
Yeah.
This kind of sort of things is very important.
Right.
They're going to create new thinking.
Right.
This is not knowledge. This is wisdom. Wisdom is different. Every wisdom you need to thinking about each of ancient people saying, okay, you need to consider for that. Like I Ching is astronomy. Is a Chinese I Ching, famous I Ching, just how to thinking about past future. This is a very famous book, but this is a very short sentence, very short. But this is what he's talking about, very long. The context is very long. But this is whenever you're going to memorize in future, this is wisdom. But this kind of one sentence, you need to thinking about this kind of one sentence. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Why they are talking about? You can make translate by yourself many times, many kind.
I think I can relate because in Christian culture we also have these things like from the Bible. Like if somebody slaps you in the face, turn the other cheek.
That's right.
Oh.
That's right.
Why would I do that? I would rather punch him back. But right. Like turn the other cheek. So you know, in those 4 or 5 words, you actually learn about forgiveness, about building up a relationship, the virtue of endurance.
That's right. But Japanese and Chinese cannot import Christianity because culture different.
Right. I mean, we don't need to import. You already Japanese, have your value
Japanese,
system.
They never respect Confucius, but this is stupid. This is import from China, 5th century.
They don't respect Confucius? What?
Yeah. Respect Confucius as Japanese spirit.
I thought it was part of the Japanese spirit.
Yeah, but many Japanese people is discriminate Confucius against Buddhists.
Really?
Yeah, Buddhist is like a Japanese is mental spirit, and Shinto is mental spirit, not Confucius. But at the same time, we imported from China, 5th century. But Confucius,
I thought Shinto was largely derived
from easy.
Confucius.
One is Confucius is the base of Edo era. So Japanese Meiji Restoration, they try to eliminate asset of Edo era. Second is American occupation army try to eliminate Confucius. This is very bad for Japanese is leadership. This is actually leadership, how to govern and organization and everything. But they try to eliminate Confucius. So many people, they don't believe, they don't know Confucius. So that's the reason why I try to revive again. You should study Confucius. And Xi Jinping, very recent, he tried to change his organization and he officially announced, now party policy will just come in front. It means, okay, we're going to teach you the Confucius. And not behind, front. Okay, and for social, for the world, we're going to make an effort. Company profit? No, we should, we should not do that. So they changed it. Their government policy.
Well, I think also they realize that they cannot uphold the annual growth rate. So if they're going to keep that as a central measurement of success of the Chinese model, then they're going to fail. So they need to replace it with something.
But they're going to change it. And
I think that
5
makes
years
sense.
ago, they just not only GDP, but also evaluation criteria. Environment is they added on 5 years ago, but now it's more than that. You need to consider wisdom, okay, our heritage, okay, and we much more focus on, and like a Trump, we must focus on our country interest and country interest.
Right.
Instead of your company own selfish kind of action.
So that is not such good news for the Japan-China relationships.
Exactly, but Japanese government are not recognized yet. But I understand what they're going to do. But very threat for us in future. They just only focus on government or country interest. If they are the kind of trading and business does not meet with country interest, American are the same.
But at the same time, we're also heavily invested in the one road, one belt.
Oh, but this is the other issue. They have one belt, one road is they have another big jump for the economy, and they try to consider for Europe and Africa.
Right, but it's a very grand, open, connect the world initiative that is not so much only about Chinese interest. They can never do it if it's only about Chinese interest.
Don't misunderstand. This is Chinese only interest. They try to export steel.
Yeah, but they will not be able.
Steel, cement.
Yeah, but they will not be able to pull it off because actually they need to put this infrastructure to all these different countries. So they will need to.
No, you need to consider for that how much global market share they have still. As more than 50%, right? So they have very lots of stocks of steel, aluminum, and stocks of cement. They can't, consume in their own country. They need to export.
Well, I can see their point of I can see their interest, of course, and of course it's driven by self-interest. But they will need to be inclusive in the benefits, because otherwise they will never be able to connect all those countries. Because if there's no benefit for a country like Pakistan, if there's no benefit for the Netherlands, then why would we get on board?
Oh, Pakistan is their.
As example.
Yeah, Pakistan case is they're heavy concerned about corridor is going to Indian Ocean. They try to lot of investment China making, so they expecting Guider Bay is their big jump. They try to consider a big jump for their economy. So this is China try to do that. And the good example is Africa, right? As you know, we discussed many times Africa. China export high speed rail. And they don't. China, they don't consider for their African countries, capability or not. They don't care. They just export because they have skill, right? Finally, what they are chasing for, this is obvious. They try to want to get diamond, gold. If you cannot pay, are you going to take care of your mine? This is business. But China is not wrong. They are doing business. Europe is the same. They try doing business. Okay, they dominant in the world. It's simple. China imperialism. I don't write the book this year, but next year I will write the book. One Belt, One Road. They try to establish the imperialism, and they try to govern the world instead of the United States. 2030. But problem they have, getting older. America is getting younger.
Yep.
This is 2030s. 2015 is turning point. 2030 is obviously China is losing power. So they can sustain their One Belt, One Road. They can dominate just only next 10 years.
So what will prevent China to become the next Japan? Well, basically what we see is
What do you want to say?
Well, what we see is that the leadership, like economic.
Oh, there's nothing thinking about Japan.
No. The question is different. So we see that the lifespan of an empire is getting shorter and shorter. Like, okay, China has a 4,000 year
15
history,
years.
but it's getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah.
So why would China be any different from Japan? That basically they can build up leadership, but soon it will end and will be replaced by another.
No. China thinking about they try to making IT revolution. Even if population, this declining, and they thinking about 2030 is IT revolution. Okay.
Why would it be China?
China is a government, tremendous amount of money invested.
Right, but I mean,
for IT.
Yeah, but IT, it doesn't require a lot of money. So that's basically IT as it. In essence, I think IT, the people who are truly innovative and really progressed, it doesn't require a lot of money. It requires talent, a unique way of thinking, an entrepreneurial spirit. It's not about numbers. It's about a mindset. Why IT at the moment is dominated by Russia, by Ukraine, by America. Those are small people that actually come up with a unique idea or a new concept, and they know how to market that. So what is the advantage of China to actually?
They focus on very clear is AI, robotics, cryptocurrency.
Right, but why would they be the first?
Just you trained what's the name of chain?
Blockchain.
What chain?
Blockchain.
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 Blockchain. What is they are focusing on?
Mm.
And currently, what they're doing in business is to China. Currently, what making effort to sell salt system.
Sorting. Yeah.
Sorting system is currently very weak, and big data they don't have knowledge for how to sorting. So even if they try to blockchain is a lot of big data system, right? But they cannot catch up with that. And AI and robotics, that they try to consider for China government future. And this country is the first in the world. They try to driverless vehicle. Okay, driverless vehicle.
It's already in existence in the United States.
No. Eliminate every driver. Eliminate nobody in the supermarket. Nobody in the department store. Okay, and everywhere is just what that drone. Everywhere, every building they can arrive the drone. Already Beijing, Shanghai, the government accepted. Never happened in the world, only China. So nobody. Go shopping.
Who's monitoring the airspace then? If it's already allowed?
Don't care. It's fell down, 100 people dead. Don't care. Who cares that? Okay, just it means now is
no. But is there no control system? I mean, you cannot just open the air.
No, they don't care control system.
But that's impossible.
Do you know the rail train? They got collapsed. 100 people dead. Who cares? Just 100, not 1 million.
Right.
We have a lot of people there.
All right, well, we have a lot of people there. But even if I want to, if I'm serious about drones, and if my company, let's say that I'm Amazon, I'm the new Amazon in Shanghai, and I want to use drones to deliver the goods to the...
Do you know the currently Shenzhen in China? And the policeman just watching camera, watching that person. Oh, this is a criminal guy. History he has. He immediately they go.
Right.
Face.
With face recognition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read actually, there was an article this morning about it.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is a China, they try to control that. And for the morning, I'm going outside to buy something.
It's a little bit different from Japan, right? In Japan, they put a police officer at a traffic light with camera with a traffic light, and then the policeman is waiting for the light to turn green, and then it's so stupid.
You know, so the China is the next 5 years, no money. Okay, if you go any place, anywhere, nobody there. Okay, so this is going to happen very soon. So even the population declining.
But what problem is that going to solve?
Because they try to keep growth and they try to dominate in the world. This is China imperialism. Don't misunderstand this country's history.
But I mean, so for example, shops without shop staff. What problem is that going to solve? What good is that going to do anyway?
Whatever you want, you just come in, just take it out.
Right.
Automatically you pay.
But what benefit is that going to bring to China?
Reduce, salary payment.
Oh, so for business purposes, yeah,
exactly,
that's possible.
Exactly.
Possible.
Decline in population. What kind of action they're going to take? Right. This is their concern. Okay, near future going to hospital at the entrance, you just come to here. That the robot will go and judge you. Okay.
So
take X-ray and just history and.
I mean, that's very
well,
obvious.
by the way, you have a cold. Just a robot will give you the medicine. Doctor don't
so you
need
just
to meet
spit on the robot and they will analyze your sputum.
Do you know? Last time I went to the doctor, and I have something feeling bad on my chest. He introduced big hospital, and big hospital. I went there, and they're going to my kind of CT scanner, and CT scanner is currently CT scanner doctor. They can find that very small dot, but AI robot they can find that more smaller dot.
Of course,
but current technology we don't use that.
Of course,
but special doctor can find that. Oh, you have small dot, but this is no problem. But my doctor, my private doctor told me, oh my God, I can't find that kind of dot. Even see that this.
Right.
This is special, but this is a kind of technology advancing.
It's like Takashi-san was talking about. It's basically, we are now capable of monitoring. Oh, there's actually a lot of traffic on this road, so we are able to monitor, but not control. But AI will be able to control that.
Okay, in Japanese case is different. Japanese case is more reluctant to adopting kind of technology, right? And because very conservative, they don't.
But this is obviously an improvement. I'm talking about a lot of these investments, a lot of these developments. They're not really improvements. They're basically a measure of cost saving. They're not going to bring benefits to society as a whole. It doesn't benefit anyone. Well, only the people who have the technology to replace workers, to replace people with automation, but like better scanners, earlier detection. That is actually going to contribute to society. But there's a lot of these things that we're talking about and excited about that are not going to bring us any benefit as a society at all.
That's another problem China will confront with.
Yeah.
That is another problem confronted with. China is old people getting more and more, and 20, 30 million people getting older people, over 80 people, and social unrest. Who's going to take care of it? But also automation. Many people don't need to work, or government will going to pay for them. We're going to pay the just income for you. But what will going to give them happiness? Who's going to give them happiness? This is the problem. Japanese just 100 million. China is 1 billion. Who's going to handle them? This is a big problem, right? So. This is another issue that China will confront with. So next year I'm going to write down China's imperialism. And what's the future do they have? Okay, this is a very big threat. Not only the nuclear power plant. They're going to make 100 nuclear power plants. Okay, 2 of those will burst, but this is social unrest is a more big issue. Right? This is
you think that they are actually going to choose for a nuclear power plant? I wonder. I think nowadays, nuclear power plants are not the future anymore. It's renewable
but
energy.
They are making hundreds of those. Hundreds of.
Scary.
At least 2 of those burst, It's 100% for sure they're going to happen. Chinese way. They forget to close their valve, burst. Right?
I don't know.
Burst.
At the moment, the only one really, there are 2 really, three bursts. One in the United States, one in Ukraine, and one in Japan.
Yeah,
not in. Well, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
just
fine.
time. And you need to ask him or Kimoto.
Kimoto-san. What do you think?
What do you think? Japan will has a population decrease, and therefore Japan should have a high productivity. That is a very important issues.
But okay, high productivity is of course
Using AI, blockchain.
Right. But are you optimistic about a society, about Japan being able to raise productivity and generate enough money to keep the standards alive? But who will benefit from it? Because like a lot of these technologies will actually replace workers. Now there will be less workers, but I don't see the economy growing a lot either. Are you optimistic about society where we are more and more productive? Will we be able to deal with a lot of people that will fall out of the system? Like what? I'm very worried about taxi drivers, very worried about shop staff, very worried about everybody who will be replaced by this new technology. What are we going to do with all those people? Are we really going to keep them on board?
Takashi-san, do you have any comments?
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, and I have one. I'm not sure is the right approach to this problem or issues, but okay, for example, in Japan, that we can use online service like Grab to call a taxi. Then, as you mentioned, we don't need, the society doesn't need to keep the existing taxi driver as they're doing. So in the future, less and less taxi driver is in the existing system. Then they will, but another company will get the less profit. Then the GDP might go down, but
Right.
I think this online service provider like the Grab can earn the money even from other countries. So they will keep putting the system in their country. Then, they do have the population, but they can get more population from other country on this system.
Right.
So the host country will get the GDP lower, but the operator side can get more benefit. Then the country will get more GDP.
So, but that will depend how well Japan is capable of expanding their competitive business outside of Japan. That will depend a lot on the way to build up relationships and trust. Because what you're saying, the taxi system, how well will this company be able to compete with Uber?
But problem is, as mentioned by Uno-san, we are not ahead, so even we are behind. And instead, the China is more ahead, and they're giving the solution and online service to neighboring countries. And when they decide in the future, to get the benefit from this system, just brought back into the country, then nothing will be left in the host country. The transaction data, also the cash flow, will be totally changed. Then what I don't understand is how long perspective, how long plan is China they have in mind in doing some business like the online service, and also something less cashless and stuffless. So they might be feed them in the country in the short term, but they might also be able to feed them in the long term for other purpose or other objectives. I don't know how long their scope of the thinking the national interest in the future.
Well, at the moment, I don't see China as being much more successful in exporting their IT technology outside of their own country. Of course, there are hugely widely successful IT-based companies, but they are irreverently, I would say that they basically copy Western idea, close off their market for that idea, and create a Chinese version for that. And then considering that they have exclusive access to 1.2 billion customers, they make a success for themselves. But I have not been particularly impressed with everything new that came out of China when you're talking about these IT systems. So I don't see it yet, but it could change, of course. It's a very big pool of talented people that could come up with the idea, but like I said before, it really requires some independent thinkers who have a good idea. It's very easy to execute in this software world. It's very easy to create a working prototype of whatever you think without having to invest in much, without having to anything. Basically, this could pop up anywhere in the world. It doesn't require concerted effort.
Yeah. And also the advantage of the country, not Japan, like the China and the other countries, is they can start even during some things to be defined as in the gray zone. So it's even good start for them. Even in the gray zone, the status is not all clear, but they can start. Just sometimes it's selling, and they're saying that it's okay, it's free of charge for 5 years, 10 years.
Right.
But they might be thinking something different behind.
Right.
So they might get more benefit from that service, from that countries, not in short term but long term.
Right, but we should be either way. We should also be suspicious of other services from the US that basically have the same position, that we're completely putting our fate into the hands of the likes of Twitter, Facebook, Google. It's the same thing.
So, is Chinese or some other countries in Asia thinking in the same way as US is doing on the internet by Twitter, Facebook, and Amazon?
Of course.
So they're doing.
Of course, China is doing this similar way, and they much more emphasize on internet, but not like American company. And they try to invest, they try to support more local Chinese company. But we Japanese, we cannot use that because of we don't understand Chinese, so difficult for using those Chinese software. Only one is only we can use WeChat. That's all. And also we can. Last time I went to Shanghai, and I tried to implement WeChat for WeChat payment, but I cannot do that because I don't have a Chinese telephone number. Any other things I have, or everything I had, but I can't use it.
But this means once they change their policy, just accepting the foreigners who doesn't have the local number, then we can be the customer.
Yeah. But usually, current Japanese people cannot open Chinese bank account.
Right.
But I had Chinese bank account before, so still bank account is available. But usually, we Japanese people cannot have a bank account in China.
But can't you buy a telephone then?
We can, but I don't need to have it.
Well, okay. So, but basically, so if you have a bank account and the telephone
Exactly.
number,
Before until this March, we can open the WeChat payment, just a Visa card or some other card, but not now. But I don't know how come government prohibited.
So we look at the WeChat and the Alipay. Actually, they come into the Vietnam market.
Oh, really?
The currently just saying is for the Chinese tourists from the mainland,
but
their country. But the ones they decided, they may say it can be used for local persons and the foreigners from other countries, then they might get market share. But transaction data, all the cash flow, will be brought
to China,
to the country.
Right.
So it doesn't remain. it won't be left in Vietnam.
Okay, I see.
So
Yeah,
maybe
but
their
it's-
strategy, but I'm not sure what should be our strategy.
But like Takai-san, I mean, how much of the transaction data of PayPal is staying within Japan? Zero.
Really?
Yeah.
Zero?
PayPal data. PayPal is also not staying inside Japan.
Oh.
Yeah, well, it's a pity, but yeah, if you want to be in the driver's seat, you have to be the first one to to do it. Okay, next week, again, we still have a lot of ground to cover. Next week, let's try to finish it really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next week you continue, right?
Okay, yes.
Good.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you very much for today.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Takashi. How about
Monday?
Yeah. How about Monday, Takashi?
Monday. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Monday we're going to let's have a look at and finish the employment discussion. We also have I have some videos that are interesting for Amazon and Uber.
Okay.
What's happening with jobs and new technology.
Okay. Good. So
You
Monday,
cannot join, right?
No.
Usually he cannot. By the way, Takashi, still next Monday where you are?
Ho Chi Minh. So
Okay, more
yeah, I can get 30 minutes more.
Okay, more
Okay.
comfortable. Okay,
All
thank
right.
you.
All right.
Thank you very much for today. Okay,
Okay.
just close
So much.
down.
Thanks so much.
Okay? Oh my god, 3 hours, 30 minutes.